We've been to 44 countries and over half the US states in the last 5 years, and everyone always asks us, where should I go on my honeymoon? So in this video, we're gonna give you our top 10 recommendations for honeymoon destinations around the world, and we're jump right in at number 10. Whether you're dreaming of a serene beach escape, an overwater bungalow, or scaling the side of a mountain in search of an epic adventure, or even wildlife experiences that you'll never forget, we've got you covered. Today, we're diving into the ultimate honeymoon destinations to visit and have every month of the year covered. From luxurious getaways to budget-friendly spots, both in the US and around the world, there's something for every couple on this list. So if you're planning your perfect honeymoon, stay tuned for the best places and the best times to visit.
This is part 2 of our honeymoon series that we started last year. So if you guys haven't seen part 1, I will link it down here for you as well as up here for you to go check that out, because that has our first round of top honeymoon recommendations. So with that, let's get into this one.
If you guys are new here, we're Giselle and Steven, also known as the Lover's Passport, and we have the luxury of traveling all over the world and testing a lot of these beautiful luxury resorts and different places around the world. So if you love to travel and want to see more bucket list adventures, make sure to give us a like and subscribe. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into number 1. So we're going to be starting with the most budget-friendly one, which is going to be Lake Tahoe, located in California in the US. We've personally visited Lake Tahoe. We just celebrated our 2-year anniversary there, and we visit almost every year. And the reason we would put it as a great recommendation for a honeymoon spot is because it has a little something depending on your budget. You can be as cheap as you want and go camping, like is what we did for our anniversary, or you can be super luxury and stay at a resort like the Edgewood, where you get top of the line service right on the lakefront. There's so much to do here, from different beaches that you can go and relax at, like Secret Cove or Sand Harbor, or you can go bike riding like on the East Shore Trail. You can also go hiking up in the mountains, and if you go here during the winter, you can even go skiing and snowboarding. There is so much to do here for every single couple, and it also has a very nice romantic side. Who wouldn't want to be on a boat watching the sunset in the middle of Lake Tahoe? I don't know if it gets much better. This is one of our more budget-friendly options, like I said, and the best time to go is going to be anytime from June until September. We recommend July, and if you can, go during the middle of the week so you get less crowds. And if you want to see our full recommendation for everything that we did in Lake Tahoe, we have an ultimate guide, and we'll go ahead and link it down below for you. With that, let's jump into number 2. Coming in at number 2 is going to be the beautiful country of Iceland. The reason that we chose Iceland as number 2 is it's perfect for adventure lovers, and it can also be very budget friendly. When we went to Iceland, we spent 8 days road tripping around the ring road, and we stayed in a van. This is definitely one of the more budget friendly options compared to if we were staying in like the panoramic glass lodges or any other fancy, more expensive accommodation. So that's why we have it as number 2. And then if you're thinking about when is the best time to go, we would personally recommend the summer months between June and September. Our favorite time to go is on the latter half and during September, because you get beautiful weather for the most part. It's much less crowded. On the other hand, if you want to experience something like the midnight sun, which is a magical phenomenon where you get to experience 24 hours of light during the middle of summer, then I would recommend going and doing Iceland during July. And if you guys are looking for something even different, September to April, Iceland does experience the northern lights pretty often. We've personally seen them here multiple times, and we think it's such a magical experience. And how cool would it be to say that you saw the northern lights on your honeymoon? We've been to Iceland 6 times, and there are so many different ways to experience it. We created an ultimate guide to Iceland. If you want to see the full video, you can go ahead and check it out down below in the link in the description. But there's a few different ways to do it, in terms of you can just do the south coast and check out all the incredible waterfalls. You can do a longer trip around the full ring road. If you want to do a ton of hiking, you can do the highlands. If you want to get off the beaten path, I would recommend going and checking out the western fjord. So many different ways to do it, and we cover all inside of our ultimate guide. But that is going to be number 2. Let's go ahead and move on to honeymoon destination number 3.
Coming in at number 3, we have the beautiful region of Cinque Terre, Italy. Cinque Terre is a string of 5 picturesque villages perched along the rugged Italian Riviera coastline, and it is known for colorful cliffside homes, dramatic sea views, and terraced vineyards, and it is absolutely stunning. We went and explored 3 of the 5 coastal villages. And honestly, I would say those are definitely the most popular ones. So we went to Monterosso, to Vernazza, and to Manarola. And those are definitely, I would say, the most picturesque. There's also a hike that actually connects the villages, so you can hike around through them. Definitely bring some good footwear if you're going to do that. You can also jump from village to village via the train. That's what we ended up doing since we didn't have a ton of time to explore here, but it is so cute. If you've seen the movie Luca from Disney, that's kind of the area of the world that was based on. People enjoying Aperol spritzes on the coastline. It is just so cute. And I will say it definitely gets really busy in the summertime. So if you can hit this area for your honeymoon in the off-season, shoulder season, like May or September, you're probably gonna have a better experience than if you go in June, July, or August. Also, it does get pretty hot during that time frame. We went, I believe, the last week of August, first week of September time frame, and it was still really busy. This is a great spot if you just wanna sit and relax on the beach, explore some cute little villages, and have a nice, relaxing, and peaceful kind of honeymoon. And the nice thing too is if you don't wanna stay in this region the whole time you're in Italy, you can also pop over to Florence, to Pisa. They're both pretty close by. Coming in at number 4 is exploring Japan during cherry blossom season. This is one of the coolest things that you can do in Japan when you come during the last weeks of March, early weeks of April, depending on the year. It's kind of like fall colors when you're looking to chase fall foliage. The timing is different every year based on weather conditions. So you do kind of have to be a little bit on top of it when it comes to planning this, depending on the year. Timing is important, but the cherry blossoms usually will be there that first week of April. So if you're planning around that time frame, you should be good to go. We actually have a full video on exactly what to do in the best cherry blossom spots in Japan, as well as an ultimate Japan guide for first timers. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll link those down below in the description. But it is truly so magical. And during your honeymoon, I would 100% recommend spending some time in Mount Fuji area as well, especially if you're an outdoor lover. Mount Fuji is just so majestic, and there's so many beautiful hikes and viewpoints around that area in Lake Kawaguchi. Now, in terms of budget, I would say Japan can be done on both a more limited budget or a higher end budget, depending on where you stay. The accommodations is really what's going to get you. The transportation's pretty affordable in terms of public transport, and it's so efficient there. So you don't need to rent a car. You'll probably be hopping around on the train. So if you're there for a longer honeymoon at like more than 7 days, then you should probably get the JR pass, depending on which cities in Japan you are hoping to visit. But we stayed and did Airbnbs. If you want to do some more like private accommodations with onsens and more luxurious locations, especially if you're staying around like Lake Kawaguchi in Mount Fuji, then you might have some more expenses there, but you can definitely do Japan on a budget.
Coming in at number 5, which is starting to get a little bit more expensive, but still pretty moderately priced, is going to be the island of Madeira in Portugal. This is a European island paradise that if you're on the East Coast, it's actually closer to you than comparatively to Hawaii. They call it the Hawaii of Europe for a reason. Think beautiful waterfalls, jaw-dropping landscapes, massive cliffs, and there's amazing things to do here, from the hiking to just relaxing at the different waterfalls, doing a road trip around the island, or if you just want to hang out on the black sand beaches, you can do that here too. This is a surprisingly affordable luxury destination. You can book very expensive hotels. We stayed in the Escarpa Hotel, which was on the edge of this cliff overlooking one of the most beautiful coasts in all of Madeira, and that was definitely a little bit more expensive. But on the other hand, the food here is so inexpensive. I could grab an Aperol Spritz for as cheap as 2 to 3 euro. We would leave dinner for very affordable prices, and that's why we have it ranked here as number 5. The best time to visit is going to be from April to October. When we visited, we went in May because we didn't want it to be too hot. During the middle of summer, it can get very, very hot here. So we ended up going to May, which has a little bit more variable weather like rain and crazy wind, but we still thought it was very enjoyable and we got to see everything that we wanted to. If you want to see our full list of all of the things to do for Madeira, we went ahead and linked our ultimate guide down below with our favorite hikes, best waterfalls, best hidden gems, and all of the most beautiful viewpoints. So like I said, we went ahead and linked that down below. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into number 6. Coming in at number 6 is going to be Zermatt, Switzerland. This is where we're starting to get to $3 signs. Now, we personally think Zermatt is very romantic and special during the winter. So that's when we would recommend you go here. You can stay inside of an igloo in the Swiss Alps at an amazing place called Igloo Dorf. We were relaxing inside of a jacuzzi overlooking the Matterhorn. Our minds were literally blown. We stayed inside the bow site, which has this incredible spa that overlooks Zermatt and the Matterhorn. It's just such a beautiful, romantic vibe. If you're into snowboarding and skiing, we would definitely do this during the winter season. We went here for our anniversary in February, and it was such a fun experience. Now, if you are not a skier and snowboarder, I would recommend doing this during the summer and checking out places like Zermatt and even Lauterbrunnen, where there's so much to do. You can go skydiving, you can go hang gliding, bungee jumping, rope swinging, as well as the hikes here feel like you're walking in a fairy tale. If you're looking to go to Switzerland and Zermatt during the winter, we would recommend February and March, just because the prices are a little bit cheaper than going during Christmas, and you do still get that magical snowy vibe. If you want to see all of the top things to do, whether you're going in the winter or the summer, we actually have 2 ultimate guides to Switzerland down below. We'll go ahead and link them in the description, so if you want to go here for your honeymoon, you know exactly what to do. Once again, this is where I proposed to Giselle, and this is where we went back for our 6-year dating anniversary. It is so special to us, and I hope you can enjoy it too.
Coming in at number 7 for our top honeymoon series for this year is Northern Norway. Now, Norway is probably our favorite country we have been together. We have been back like 4 times since we first discovered the magical beauty that is in this country. So we would definitely recommend, if you are looking for an adventurous honeymoon, 100%. This is so worth it no matter what time of year you're going. If you are visiting in the summertime, we would highly recommend planning your honeymoon in the Lofoten Islands and doing some sort of road trip similar to what we'd recommend in Iceland, doing van life around the island. Doing van life around the Lofoten Islands is just insane. If you don't want to do van life, you can also just base in the middle of the region. We actually did that where we rented out a cabin and we stayed in Ramberg, and that seemed to be a pretty good central location to get to a lot of hikes, and it was also near a ton of restaurants and grocery shopping and stuff like that. So if you're thinking about doing that, that's also another option. Van life will be cheaper, most likely, and Airbnbs will be a little more expensive, so it just depends on your budget there. For adventure lovers, there's literally so many things to do. The hikes are absolutely incredible. You'll have to try hiking the famous Rainbringen in the summertime for Midnight Sun if you're there in July, or go over into Svalbard and explore the cute little towns. There's so much to do out here. We loved kayaking through the fjords as well. If you love the outdoors, this is definitely a spot for you. Alternatively, if you want a more magical Northern Lights vacation for your honeymoon, then you can visit the town of Tromsø up in Northern Norway as well. That's a perfect spot for Northern Lights viewing and just a fun, more like snowy winter wonderland kind of honeymoon. You can also see the Northern Lights down in Lofoten as well. We've seen them in both places and they were both equally as magical. Now, if you were choosing between the two for visiting for a honeymoon during winter for the Northern Lights, I will say Tromsø has more of a city vibe. There's more to do in terms of there's like more saunas and art and restaurants. It feels more like an established town. Whereas visiting Lofoten in winter, it's definitely more like fishermen's villages and cabins, with the exception of a few of the villages in Lofoten that are highly like residential areas. You're not going to find as many things to do in Lofoten in winter as Tromsø, unless you are a big like backcountry skier or snowboarder or love snowshoeing. So just keep that in mind if you're not as much of an outdoorsy winter person and you want some epic Northern Norway honeymoon, then I would probably go Tromsø in the winter and Lofoten in the summer. And Norway is just an expensive place, so keep that in mind. That's why we've rated this kind of towards the end, because there is a higher cost of living out here, but it's 100% worth it. That's why we keep going back. And you can get some pretty good flight deals if you use a service like Thrifty Traveler Premium. We'll put our coupon code in the description box below. We've gotten some insane deals. We literally just got one today for a $500 round trip out to the Norwegian fjords from Los Angeles. So the good deals do exist. It just does take a long travel day depending on where you are flying from. So make sure to get those flight deals in. Coming in at number 8, we have the beautiful Caribbean island of St. Lucia. We visited here for the first time in December of last year, and it absolutely blown us away. We were just so surprised by how beautiful it was. It was like if New Zealand, Norway, and Hawaii all had a baby, it would be St. Lucia. And so we wish we had more time to explore here. We definitely will be back. But for your honeymoon out here, most people will stay along the Sugar Beach region. There's a few different properties out here. There's Sandals St. Lucia if you're looking for like a more of an all-inclusive vibe, or there's places like where we stayed, which was the Calle Blanc Villa. It was insane. One of the most peaceful, kind of off the beaten track hotels where there's only a handful of villas. Amazing food, amazing service. The people were so incredible. 10 out of 10 recommend that. It was definitely a honeymoon worthy hotel. The most famous one though on St. Lucia is probably the Jade Mountain Resort. If you haven't seen that before, go look it up on here or on TikTok. It's literally insane. That one doesn't have more modern luxuries like some air conditioning in the whole property, and you might get some bugs going in and out. So just keep that in mind. But all 3 of those properties are typically recommended when it comes to honeymooning in St. Lucia. We personally chose Calle Blanc Villa, and it was a 10 out of 10. There's a ton of things to do out here, whether you like getting out on the water and doing some snorkeling and enjoying the beautiful blue water, hiking up the famous pitons. There's like a sulfur mud bath experience that you can do. There's a really nice mix of things here if you want a mix of adventure, luxury, and relaxation. This is a great one if you want that like kind of compromise between adventure and relaxing. In terms of the best time to plan your St. Lucia honeymoon, I would say anytime between December and April. We went in December and had beautiful weather. Keep in mind, it is kind of a tropical climate, so you might get some tropical rain here and there, but it clears up pretty quickly.
Coming in at number 9, where we're starting to get more bougie, more luxurious, is going to be St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the Caribbean. We just got back from this destination, and when I tell you, all we could say is, oh my gosh, I wish that we could have done this for our honeymoon. That is what we said the entire time. We stayed on the Sandals St. Vincent and Grenadines property, and it's their newest property in all of the Sandals Resorts locations. And this place is pure luxury. You can go scuba diving, you have snorkeling, you can go on boat trips. All of the food is included. The spa day pass is included. They give you bikes to ride around the property. You can relax in one of the 5 different infinity pools. It's just one of the most beautiful and magical properties that we've ever visited. And the nice thing is, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is actually an underrated location right now. So it doesn't feel too popular. This is more of a unique hidden gem location. So if you're looking to get off the beaten path, you want to be able to go scuba diving or check out some snorkeling, spend a lot of time in the water and on a boat, this is where we would recommend checking out St. Vincent. Now that said, it is very expensive. The thing about St. Vincent, and especially the Sandals property, is it isn't all-inclusive, so you pay per person per day. So the price is a much bigger price tag. We even opted to go for the water taxi in, and it felt like a scene straight out of White Lotus. The best times to go to St. Vincent and the Grenadines is going to be from December until April. So if you're looking to do a little bit of a snowbird honeymoon, get out of the cold, go and experience the Caribbean, this would be a perfect destination for you. And if you want to see our full highlight on what the Sandals St. Vincent property looks like and our experience during our visit, we went ahead and linked it down below in the description so you can see everything that we talked about. But like I said, we have this at number 9 for a reason. It's one of the most luxurious, beautiful honeymoon destinations that we could possibly think of.
And coming in at number 10, last but not least, is visiting the Arctic during your honeymoon. This is a crazy adventurous way to do this. It is a very expensive honeymoon option, which is why it is last, but it was totally worth it. We chose to go through Quark Expeditions, and we went up to Svalbard in the most northern region of Norway. I know we had northern Norway as like a separate one for honeymoons, but Svalbard is technically like its own little territory. So I would say it's a separate one on here. And we got to go on this expedition and go find polar bears, walrus haulouts, like see some of the most insane fjords up in those islands in Svalbard, and just basically have it all to yourself on the expedition ship. We're like the only ship out in the fjords. And so if you are obsessed with wildlife, you want a unique honeymoon, you want to connect with nature and just kind of feel like you're the only people on the planet among these crazy floating sea ice pieces, then this is definitely the trip for you. It was honestly probably my favorite trip of the year so far, and it is just so insane out there. Summer in the Arctic is so peaceful, and you would be surprised. It's actually fairly warm as well when you're visiting. That you can only do this trip from May to September. That's the only time the Svalbard expeditions do run. So keep that in mind. But for sure, one of the highlights of the year. So if you want that epic, adventurous, off the beaten path honeymoon, that one's for you. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more adventurous tips, tricks, and of course, honeymoon recommendations. And we will see you back next week with another adventure.